Hello and welcome Beyond the Pixel. It's the end of the year, December 31st, and as we all know, there is a legally binding contract as soon as you pick up your first controller that from that point on, at the end of every year, you must put together a list that's not 5 games long, not 15 games long, but 10 games long of what you think was the best thing that you played. What resonated with you the most? What had the most impact? I don't make the rules. We all signed the contract, so here we are. Here we are, and here we are making our list. I'm gonna turn down the volume just a wee bit. That music might be coming in a little too spicy. Anyway, I did a little bit of groundwork here already on this lovely little website called Infinite Backlog. Infinite Backlog helps you just track what games you've been playing. It's pretty newish. I think it came out the year before or this year. This will be the honorary mention on my top 10 list, Infinite Backlog. It's been really fantastic, and I've been really enjoying using it. Props. It's like a 2-person team developing it, so well done. I love this website / mobile software. Couple of ground rules. My list is going to be different than your list. I have played different games than you, probably. And just because I like something doesn't mean that you're going to like something. Just because you like something doesn't mean I'm going to like it. Also probably doesn't mean that I played it. And there can be many reasons for that. I generally also only like putting stuff on the list that I actually finished. Since, you know, your relationship with a game is a moving target. How you feel about it at the start is going to differ how you feel about it at the end. And I feel until I have completed my journey with that game, whatever that means, you know, other to 100% or just beating it and moving on from it, I at least want to feel that I have concluded my journey with that game. And then I can properly evaluate how I felt by it. That's just my own personal metric. That might mean that there are certain games that might appear off my list simply because I didn't finish them. I want to remedy that later on, you know, if I make a list that all the games I played in 2024 might be listed than the games that released in 2024, and I am ranking them. So, you know, it's all meaningless. It doesn't necessarily mean these are the top games. Probably gonna, you can play games in multiple years. It doesn't matter. Anyway, for fun, don't sue me. So let's take a look here. I've got the sorted and release date with the weird exception that Ys Nordics came out in Japan in 2023, but I'm going to count it as it came out this year because that's when it picked up in November. Unfortunately, we're just unfortunately not even going to have to consider this for the list because, as I said, I want to have my relationship with the game concluded before I evaluate it. I did not get super deep into Ys Nordics. I think I put, actually, we can just check. How much of Ys Nordics did I play? I only played 5 hours of it. 25 hours to beat this game. I'm way too early on. Of what I played, I have enjoyed it. I have only finished one Ys game in my life, and that's the first one. And maybe the second one, because it was in a 2-pack. I don't even remember if I finished the second one. I have played Memories of Celceta. I've played 8. Haven't played 9. But I've been meaning to. I really want to get into this series, same as the Tales series, which is another Falcom? Is that the publisher name? Nihon Falcom, yeah. But that wasn't this year. So we'll just have to move on from that one. Canonically, the first game that came out that I played, First Cut Samurai Duel. This game is interesting. It's sort of it's like a sprite-based game, but it's very bloody, as you can see. And it's all about getting that first hit in, blocking and parrying stuff while you move in a side-scrolling level. Not very action-heavy. It's more focused on just strategy and timing. Can be a little bit frustrating. I think I got pretty close to finishing it. How much did I play of this? I played an hour. And it takes about like an hour to beat. I may have finished it. Nope, I haven't finished it. It's a great idea and concept, and I really liked all the sprite effects. I didn't really super jive with the mechanics. Towards the end, like I felt like I could just kind of mash my way through it. and just get lucky and beat levels that way. Very punishing though, and I generally like those kinds of games, but because I haven't finished it and I don't really remember too much of it, I don't think it's gonna come up on my top 10. What is definitely, without a doubt, coming in my top 10, right here, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I absolutely love this game. I have a love-hate relationship with Metroidvanias. A lot of them I do generally enjoy to like some degree. It's rare that I actually finish them because a lot of their pacing I feel does not hold up all the way through. To have a really solid Metroidvania, I think you need to have a great variety of abilities and navigation through the environment, and it helps if you have a story that pulls you along. Not always necessary. Like Castlevania, Metroid, not the most scintillating stories, but they have a lot of variety in the environments and the challenges that you face in each zones, and that carries the game through it because you want to complete it. That's it. Haven't found a lot of those that really clicked with me. Lost Crown clicked with me really hard. I love the movement system in that game. It is so much fun to navigate through those levels. The story is, personally, I found it super compelling. I love the aesthetics of this. I traditionally love Prince of Persia games. It's one of my favorite series of all time. And I think this fit into that both conceptually while also creating a brand new type of game for the series itself, while still preserving some of the key elements of Prince of Persia, the acrobatic combat, the time manipulation powers. It is such a smart and intelligently designed game, and fundamentally, it has a fun map to traverse. The addition of the platforming challenges as well really makes it such a compelling game to just want to explore and dig into everything that the game has to offer. So without a doubt, definitely on my top 10, and it's going to be pretty high up there. My main complaint of the game is that I did not find backtracking very compelling, and it was kind of slow. Especially the way where you had to navigate through certain enemies and you just kind of have to avoid them because negotiating with them is a little just irksome. I feel Castlevania Symphony and I got away from this because you just became so strong in that game. You could just turn into a wolf and run through people. So backtracking in the game wasn't that big of a deal. Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, in lieu of having a scaling combat system like that, could have done with a few more fast travel points to get it to like the meat of where you wanted to go. Being able to also just fast travel directly to puzzles so you can come back to them and solve them later, I think would have been great. The mechanic where you could place like screenshots in levels so you can tell like when there was something that you could progress back through was a really intelligent system that will just let you mark stuff on the map with like a screenshot because they, oh yeah, I was supposed to come back here and do this. What I think would be even better is if you could just teleport directly to those screenshots. I can see how that can be a little bit hard to balance. Maybe there's like a way you can do it so that, there can't be enemies nearby, or you need to be in a relatively like safe, quote unquote, like, not in danger of the platforms falling like that. But you could find a way to set down a point like that. There's a couple of games that have done, I don't remember, there was a game where you could set your own save points and it would cost you something. I don't remember what game that was. Someone in the comments can probably let me know. But I think something like that would have really helped Lost Crown. I would say for like a sequel to that game, that would be a really good thing to do. But as we know, they kind of moved that team off to something else. Apparently the game didn't meet their expectations, but that's a whole other conversation. So anyway, definitely in my top 10. Moving on, Pal World. Pal World is interesting. It's an early access game. I played quite a bit of it on Xbox before moving on to PC. I wouldn't say I completed my journey on it yet, but I traditionally do not like survival games like this that have an emphasis on building up your base and then doing busy work and collecting resources and things like that. The fact that you can assign your pals to do that work for you and you can just come and collect and focus on just exploring, gathering more pals and going back to base, building it up with the resources you got, assigning more pals, it created such a really strong like short-term loop that I found incredibly engaging for someone that doesn't like doing the busy work in those games. This game has a lot of potential, I feel. and we haven't seen its final form yet. I did not find the combat super compelling though. I didn't really enjoy like the boss fight that I did do in that game. That's something that I feel will eventually be worked on over time, and I think we can revisit it once it hits a 1.0. So I'm not going to put it on my list, but I will say I'm very impressed with Palworld, more than I thought I would be. And it is a smarter game than Pokemon with guns will lead you to believe. I really do like this game. Anomaly Agent. I played about 2 hours of this on stream. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up sort of game. I definitely did play it. I'm just going to change that right now. Played, and it's unfinished. I don't think I will come back to this game. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with it, other than like the combat being like a little bit too stiff for my liking. The humor just didn't land with me. I think it's just not my kind of game, but I still think, you know, it's put together well. Like the team did a really great job. The aesthetic is really nice. It just didn't click with me. Sometimes games just don't do that, so not going to be on my top 10 list. Also didn't finish it. Game that I did finish after a whopping, how much was it? 98 hours that I played at this game with my partner. Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. This game is great. I don't know if it's better than the one that preceded it, which was just called Like a Dragon, Yakuza Like a Dragon, here in the West. I love the Like a Dragon universe. I have played every single Yakuza game with the exception of Dead Souls, I believe. Finished all of them. These characters are fantastic. I think that this universe has some of the most endearing characters, and Ichiban is such a delight to go through. Just the fact that he has truly the infinite wealth in this game is Ichiban's capacity for friendship. Truly, that's the significance of this title. Just the way he's able to turn people that feel like they have no way out other than doing terrible things, and just turning them to be likable, deep characters cannot be understated. I think the overarching story, though, it's got a lot of threads going on, and ultimately I was less compelled in the stakes of what was happening than the evolution of these characters. And there is even for Kiryu, who's been around since like the beginning. I think it tells a very compelling character story. I cried several times during this game. Overall, the combat as well, the RPG-ness of it, it's good. You know, as far as RPGs goes, I feel it's one of those that, like, you know, level ups and having the right class in the right place at the right time really makes a difference, which generally is my preferred way to engage with these RPG systems. There are very tough areas that, like, you can't tackle early on, and you got to build up your party, you got to build up your class. And the process of leveling them up is pretty fun, switching jobs and things like that. It is silly, it's goofy, it's over the top, but it is fundamentally, it's fun to engage with those systems. And a lot of the side stuff as well, you know, Dondoku Island, which is sort of the island simulator that you get to build up. My partner played the most of it, but I enjoyed watching it and the silly narrative through line that goes through that as well. I really don't have a lot of complaints with the game other than I felt more compelled by the overarching stories of other games. I still think this has one of the best side quests that the series has ever done with the snow. There's an old man and he wants to make it snow for his late wife. I don't want to spoil how much of that goes, but it went to some places that are wild, and it linked together some plot threads that I thought were separate storylines, separate side quests, but they all came together for this really emotional scene that is really worth watching. If you like good character stories, you should play Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. You should play all the other Like a Dragon games. This one here, definitely on my top 10 list. Okay, what else we got? Tekken 8. Tekken 8 is fun. Tekken 8 has a fun story. I don't think I'm very good at Tekken. And because of that, I played through I got all the trophies in it. I played through all the single player content there was. Yeah, I played 18 hours of it. And I didn't really play a lot of the multiplayer, so it's hard for me to judge, but just the over-top nature of this game, like, just, it's hard to not like, you know? It's just very angry men sorting out their family disputes through fisticuffs. I don't even know, is this the announcement trailer? Yeah. It's a beautiful game to look at too. Like, it's really hard not to like Tekken. And it gets crazy towards the end as well. I remember I was finishing the story mode of this game, and my partner walks into the room, and she looks at the screen and says, "Is this Final Fantasy?" I'm like, no. No, but I can see how you would make that mistake. Yeah, I love Tekken, conceptually. I wish I had more time to invest and get good at Tekken, but that's my problem with a lot of fighting games. I'm sure I'll probably not get around to playing more of it in 2025. I don't know if there's any big fighting games coming out there, but I do want to play more of it, and that's gotta mean something. I don't know if it hangs with the rest of them, so we'll see. Suicide Squad. How much of this did I play? I don't know if I finished it all the way through. I think I finished like the main story all the way through, and then I got to the grindy bits towards the end, and I was like, okay, I think I can do without that. This game is fine. I don't think it's as bad as people say, and I can see how it's fun with multiple people. I see how it's a disappointing Arkham game. I think the dialogue between the characters are very good. It's fun to like see those characters banter with, but just lore-wise, what it does with the universe, it just kind of made me feel sad, you know? Like, it wasn't fun enough, you know, with its concepts, and I don't think you can be fun with something as dire as like, oh, they are killing the Justice League, and it kind of just, it's very nihilistic, you know? It kind of kills off the universe and it ends the story in a way that's just like, wow, you really burned all your bridges. I don't know. It left a bad taste in my mouth. And I wasn't really compelled by the grindiness of the gameplay. I was playing it by myself, you know, and I didn't really feel compelled to play more of it. What I did play, though, it had some fun elements to it. It had a good interplay, but I don't think it's going to make my top 10, unfortunately. It's just not going to be that kind of game, you know? Just going to quit out of my Steam here real quick. Whoops. There we go. Alisa. Alisa is a survival horror game. It's with a very unique look, as you can kind of see. I wish I played more of this. The director's cut came out this year. I didn't absolutely finish it. Yeah, there's some creepy stuff in this game. I didn't finish it, but I would like to play more of it. Unfortunately, my relationship with this game is not done yet. Can't put it on the list. Helldivers 2. We're just gonna do that real quick. We'll put it on the list and we'll talk about it there. I like Helldivers 2 in concept. I played it for 22 hours. I must enjoy it. I don't think it's very fun once you get to higher levels. I couldn't figure out how to beat the game when you had to like difficulty level like 7 or 8. But as something you can go and you can play with friends. And like the easier modes of difficulty, like around 4 and 5, I think is a sweet spot. It's fun. It's good. It's great moments. Me personally, I never can play these multiplayer games for long because at the end of the day, you're kind of still doing the same thing. I think what is very cool about it is just sort of the community that grew around it and just the gaslighting as well that happened when like new enemies would show up and they would say like, oh, there's no reports of winged enemies, and then the community would jump on and say like, yes, of course, we must trust in democracy and what they say. You know, there are no winged creatures despite what our eyes are telling us. It's all our ocular vision was hacked or whatever. I think it's good, and I think it's special because of that. It should probably be on a top 10 list. Not sure if it'll hang, but we'll see. Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3 Remastered. I thought I was going to play more of this. Because I played through all of Tomb Raider 1, I think, in 2020. And that's when I played through the game for the first time and I discovered how bonkers Tomb Raider is. Yeah, like, what people talk about, like, the T-Rex and, like, the weird Atlantis fight at the end of the game. They don't talk about that one of the bosses in Tomb Raider 1, one of the final bosses in that game, one of the few bosses in it even, is, just like a teen with a backwards baseball cap riding a skateboard with like dual Uzis. What the hell is that? It's fantastic. Love it. I played a little bit of Tomb Raider 2 in this collection. Did not get too much further in it. It's probably not going to be on my list. It's also a remaster and I'm less inclined. It's a good remaster when they fix some of the issues with the visuals on there, but I think more people should play Tomb Raider. People need to get over the fact that like Tomb Raider is hard to control and just play the game. It's really not that bad. Just think about it like a grid, know your distances, and then use the correct abilities in that. I think it's super enjoyable. Sure, it may be a little bit clunky, but the controls work for the type of game that it is. And I think you need to play it on its own terms. Skull and Bones. How much of this did I play? 2 hours. I don't really have much to say about Skull and Bones. I see stuff in the Yakuza Pirate game, and it looks more engaging than the boat stuff that I was doing in Skull and Bones, so we'll see if that's true. Balatro. Guys, this is not the conversation that you're going to want to have. That's all I played at Balatro. I never beat it, quote unquote, got to like an ending in it. I don't think these games work for me. I never finished Slay the Spire either. I played Rogue Legacy, I didn't get deep into it. I think the only roguelike that I can think of that I finished was Dead Cells. And that was a reasonably short one. I think Balatro is impressive. I'm very happy that it exists. I'm very happy for people that enjoy these kinds of games because it seems like people really connect with this and really like it. I can't put it on my list because it doesn't speak to the types of games that I like to play. And I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm broken, probably. But every time I finish a run in this, it's always like a little bit longer than I wish it was. And I never am itching to go back into it. Like, I don't get that addictive loop that people end up getting into it. I wish I did. It's visually super fun. It's got a great like soundtrack, a singular song in it. It's fantastic. It's really impressive. I am in awe of the developer of this game, and I'm like, props to them. Like, Balatro seems like a really fantastic and well made and well thought game that for some reason I'm too broken to enjoy. It can't go on my list, unfortunately, as much as I would love to. Pacific Drive. I did not get too deep into it. I wish I did. I think I would love this game, but I did not get too deep into it. I think I maybe put 30 minutes into it, unfortunately. That's going to have to be a 2025 game. Dark Forces Remastered. I've never finished Dark Forces. I started playing the original. I got to like the 5th level, and then they announced this remaster, and I played the first level of this. It's a good remaster. Did not play too much more of it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I don't think I like this game. And I feel like that's strong to say because I did play it all the way through once I decided to like stop doing the side stuff, but it took me 61 hours. I think the core of the combat in this game is very good. I think too much of the time... We got it. Square Enix heard I was talking about Final Fantasy VII. I don't think they give you enough fun stuff to do for the majority of this game. The core of the combat and the core of the systems, I think, are incredibly fun, incredibly engaging. I think the boss fights in this game are really fun, maybe with the exception of the final boss, which is a bit of a slog, and kind of cheap towards the end. But a lot of what you're doing in that game is seeing events that happened in the original played out writ large and sometimes expanded. But when you know the twists and turns of that game, it's not super compelling to see them really drag out certain plot lines. Kind of like the stuff with like Barrett and his backstory. There's a lot of build of like, oh, who could be doing this and blah, blah, blah. And the whole golden saucer bits. It's really dragged out. I was really bored because I knew exactly where it was going to go. And that's inherently the fundamental problem with like remakes. I think what really engaged me with Resident Evil 4 is that it's still a 25-hour game. It's the same length as the original game. And the gameplay, at least, was like very solid and different and varied, and you didn't always go through the same beats. It was a surprising remake in that sort of way. Same with Resident Evil 2. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is not at all similar to Final Fantasy VII, but the game they made instead, this expansive open world where you're just doing a lot of menial tasks and slowly progressing through a story that you've already seen that's been expanded in ways that you weren't really curious about. And there's like the whole like meta part of this where like it knows it's a remake and they're like, oh, are they going to do certain stuff differently? Just got confusing and lost the plot in a way that I didn't really super find compelling. I would have been more interested if like, you know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth didn't follow the exact same plot of Final Fantasy VII at this point. Like it skewed wildly. I wonder if that, like, cause that's what I thought was going to happen at the end of Remake, but this adheres so closely to the story of Final Fantasy VII. Oh, it was just a slog to get through. Nothing to say that I didn't feel compelled to do any of the open world stuff. Queen's Blood was fun. I like the story in Queen's Blood. That was a fun little storyline. And some of the side quests are good. Too much of them are not. Too much of them are very boring, busy work with very easy fights. I'm sure there's the type of the fights that are fun that I could get into and really engage with that system. I could not be bothered to slog through all the content to try and find where the good stuff was. This isn't gonna make my list. I don't think I can put it there. I'm not gonna talk too much about WWE 2K24 since it's a 2K game, and I feel weird about talking about games that are made by my publisher that I work for, so I'm gonna skip that. Mars After Midnight is on this list for some reason. I technically did not play this. It's on Playdate. It's by the developer Lucas Pope, I believe. Yeah, no, that can't be right. Yes, it is Lucas Pope. I just didn't actually play it. I can't talk about it. Moving on. Rise of Ronin. I played through this. I beat it. Took me 44 hours. Rise of Ronin's fun. It's fun. It's just a fun game. I liked seeing the story through. You know, there's a lot of comparisons to Ghost of Tsushima. I think it's a different kind of game. I think it's a different kind of game than Nier. I did actually like exploring through the environment and doing the open world stuff, clearing the map. It's just a fun game to just kind of go through and do stuff and check it off your list. Like, I played this game super casually. I don't think it does anything inherently super bad. I don't think the combat is like as complex as Nier, and that throws some people off. I definitely do feel the same sort of way. The focus on parrying as well and like certain attacks, it felt kind of a slog to get through in certain aspects. It's not an amazing game, but if I don't have enough games to put on this list, you know, to make 10, I'd probably throw Rise of Ronin in there. It's fun enough. So let's just toss that in there, and then we'll probably pop it off if we end up having more games on that list. It would be crazy if we went through this and then we didn't actually have a top 10, but just in case. Tales of Kenzara Zao. I didn't finish this game. I don't think it's a Metroidvania. It's kind of have some of that early pacing issues that I had with a lot of Metroidvania games and why I didn't actually complete it. But I did like what I played of it. I think I'll get around to it eventually. Another Crab's Treasure. Also didn't finish it. I think it's fine from what I played. I'm not going to put it on my list because I hear some of the story gets really good later on, and I didn't really see some of that, but I did see how it could get there. Unfortunately, my relationship with this game's not done. My journey's not done. Can't put it on the list. Indica! Indica's a wild game. Indica deserves to be in the top 10. Indica is a game where you play as a nun set in alternative Russia, as they say. And it's kind of just about her journey and uncovering, you know, who she is as a character while being tempted by the devil, who manifests in different ways and through like a very great voice actor as well. It's just an interesting story. I don't think the gameplay is the best, but it does some wild things. Like there's like like you look at it, it's a very realistic looking like Unreal Engine sort of game, but there's these gamey elements to it. Like you're collecting like faith points that you can then expend to like level up how you get faith and prayer and stuff like that. It blends the way that you can use games to tell a story in a very unique way, which is something that I really always champion. Because I think if we just tell games through like cutscenes and story and like that, and the gameplay part of it is minimal, we're losing a lot of the relationship that the player can have with your game by actively making them be a participant and engage with games in the language of video games. And I think Indica does that incredibly well, while also using a lot of language that very artsy films use, like a lot of different camera shots and like long takes, and like you know, when they attach the camera to the to an actor and it frames their face while they're moving around, and it gives you like that very weird perspective. This game does that as well. There's also like a really good shot with like there's like a wolf that you end up chasing him, and then he ends up, when you end up defeating him, he gets caught in a certain like wheel, and as it spins, you're just following this dead dog as its like head is being hit repeatedly. As I say dog, it's like a monster wolf, like you don't really feel super bad for it. But like, while like there's this monologue being played, and it's so surreal, so strange, so bizarre. It has a really great ending, the way it wraps up as well. Definitely some points of frustration in it, but I think it's a really great success for story games. So I'll definitely put it on the list. Ware Cleaner. Ware Cleaner is a free game that I think everyone should play. Kyle's a janitor. He's also a werewolf, and now he's got the night shift. Fight for your life and your paycheck in a stealth comedy game with surprise around every corner. It's basically just 5 short levels, I believe, and your goal is to clean this office without anyone seeing you, because if they see you, you go into a blood frenzy and you kill them, and you have to clean up the mess that you make as well. And you get the most points if you're completely stealthy and you do your job without being seen, which is a very unique, very compelling gameplay loop, and it works very well. This game is charming as hell. I really like it. It's really cute, and I think it's made by students. It's definitely going on my list. Are you kidding me? Of course it's going on my list. Gameplay is king. Little Kitty Big City. I did not get too deep into this, I believe. It doesn't track my playtime because it was on Xbox, and for some reason this website doesn't track my Xbox playtime. But I think I got to like the main part of the city after like the smaller tutorial area. It's fine. It's fun. It's inoffensive. I didn't really super connect with it, even though like I love cats. Animal Well. Animal Well is a game that I was playing a lot. Sorry, that I was waiting for a very long time. It was not the game that I was expecting it was going to be. It's definitely in the vein of like Fez, where there's like a lot of meta puzzles involved towards the end of it, but I want to focus on the core experience that most people are going to have and not engage with that stuff, in that it's a Metroidvania. You get upgrades that help you explore, but fundamentally what this game doesn't tell you, it doesn't really tell you much of anything, but every single upgrade has like a couple of different ways you can use it, and it doesn't really hold your hand a lot when you're exploring things, which can make it a little bit hard to get through. Since the onus really is on you to explore and make notes and make decisions and uncover ways to use it. I think the environment as well is like really well done. The music haunting. The voice lines that some of these creatures has as well is even more haunting. I really do dig this game. I think the more I played of it though, the less I liked it. As soon as you get beyond like appreciating the core concept of the game and start pushing into the more weirder puzzles and like that, and how just untainable it is to do it by yourself and you have to look it up. And even though I played this game like on launch, like stuff was already figured out like 3 days into it. I'm struggling to peel back my mind away from that element to it and really appreciate the parts of the game that I did enjoy. It's definitely going on my list. I'm not sure where though. Okay, we definitely are gonna have more than 10 games, so Rise of Ronin is gonna pop off soon. Oh, okay. Here we go. 1000 times resist. Oh, this game is super cool. This game kept me on my toes throughout. I think it's a little overlong. I think it overstays its welcome, but I think people should play 1000 times resist just for the story it has to say, just how it does a really good job of presenting you with a world that is impenetrable at first and slowly reveals elements of it over time that you can then parse and understand and have a really deep understanding of how the society works. It's hard to talk about without really getting into specifics of the game, but it's a journey well worth taking, even if there's a few things that I think that running around in those worlds is not very fun. I think the way you have to kind of swap between them, while functionally it does set up some really interesting parts of the game, it feels kind of like a chore. But I can't really fault it too much because I do feel like it sticks to landing for sure. It does come around. It has some really, I think, important stories to share, and I think that's fundamentally why it should be played. Because the narrative that it has, just about society, relationships, you know, putting meaning to life, you know, it's got some heavy topics like that it discuss, like the meaning of resisting, about like not letting things in society be the way they are just because they have always been that way, or you presume it has always been this way and things can change. Things can change, things should change. Nothing should be fixed. But also, old Red Dead Redemption line that I always think about. Change is only good if what comes about is better than what was before. So change is dangerous. But sometimes it's important to change. I like that it also says that it's horror. I could also agree with that. But yeah, 1000 times resist goes on the list. Crow Country! Oh my god, Crow Country, immediately on the list. Let's go. I'm even gonna just pause my music here for a bit. And we're gonna watch this trailer together. Crow Country is one of my favorite games, 100%. It is a survival horror game in the vein of Resident Evil, but from this tilt-shifted perspective. A really compelling world, really engaging mystery, like a very slight runtime. I think it's only like about 8 or 9 hours long, but it's compelling throughout. Great, fantastic puzzles, great like combat and avoidance mechanics. You can navigate your character using the analog stick, and she'll have 3D movement, or you can use the 2D, the D-pad, and you'll have tank controls. And you'll want to use them in different occasions for different things. It's got really great writing too, I find, and it's very charming despite its, you know, haunting visuals. A very good use of like time on the developer's part, making this sort of more simplified style. A good use of resources, and it absolutely sticks to landing. The story is, I think, fantastic. There are certain sequences in the game that are haunting as well. I think it slows down a little bit towards the end. You have like a bit of a long-term fetch quest that is slows the pacing down a little bit, but otherwise Oh, fantastic game. Everyone who likes survival horror games, who likes adventure games even, should play Crow Country. I would not be surprised if this ends up maybe winning the category. I have to think about it. Mullah Mad Jack. Mullah Mad Jack is all aesthetic and all fun.
Sir, initializing our live stream show.
It's very aggressive. It's very in your face. It speaks for itself.
1,000 bullets. And 1 mullet.
That ass moderator to take care of our bullets.
Yeah, I need to turn it off. I can't talk over it. But essentially, it is sort of it's a very fast-paced FPS game that has you going through levels where you only have like a few seconds to live, and you're connected to like a live stream, and the more like people watching or giving you likes, the more health that you get. So you have to got to kick people into fans and do special kills and get headshots while moving through levels at a breakneck speed. Easy breezy, very fun to play. I just haven't finished it. I'm sure it would land somewhere in my top 10 maybe next year if I go through things. Hellblade Senua Saga. I was really excited for this game, and I wanted to like it more than I did. I think visually it's very impressive. You remember how we were talking about Indica and how it found a way to really make the game portion of the game connect to the artistic film aspects of the game itself? Yeah, I don't feel like Hellblade 2 really pulls that off. I think Hellblade 1 had a really cool gimmick with how it told you, like, oh, if you die, the rot will go up your arm, and if it gets you, you'll kill. But they use that as a narrative implement rather than like an actual gameplay part of it. I don't think Hellblade 2 has an equivalent of that. It just really doubles down on this is a kind of a playable movie that you then sometimes do combat in it. And it's a 100% beautiful, gorgeous game. I just didn't feel like the story had, like, I got what the story was, is like her learning to reconnect with the community and coming around as like a leader. I'm not sure it got to like a place where it also kind of left off in a weird place. Like, I don't know. But as like a work of art, if I think I would have liked it more as a movie, which is kind of what the Norsemen, artistically, like it's kind of like that sort of level, like a Robert Eggers sort of thing. God, it just kind of didn't work for me as a game, unfortunately. I am still very impressed with it. I really liked playing it, but I don't think it's going to make my top 10. Duck Detective. This is a fun little adventure game. You kind of like solve this sort of stuff. It's sort of like Mad Libs, kind of, if you would, not Mad Libs, but Case of the Golden Idol, where it will ask you different questions or ask you to find motives for these different characters. It's cute, it's charming, it's got fun writing. I did not connect with it any deeper than that. It was just a fun, how long did it? It was a fun 2 hours. Yeah. I don't think it's going to hang with some of these other games, but like, well, we're checking it out. If you like little adventure games or Rise of Golden Idol, this is a simpler one. That I don't know why this is on the list. I didn't actually play it. Sonar Shock, I should play it eventually. Rogue Prince of Persia. This one needs time to bake. I already don't like roguelikes a lot, but I love Prince of Persia, so I'm willing to like play more of this. But I haven't even played like the newer update where they made him not purple and revised the opening of the game, so I can't really say much about it. But it has potential. We're looking forward to playing it more. Nine Souls. I played this really late. I think I've only put like maybe an hour into it. Very interested in it. Very cool art style. I hear it's more of a boss focused sort of game. I don't think I got to those bosses yet. I don't really want to say much more of that. I'm interested in playing more. Leave it at that. Nightmare Cart. Oh, I don't know if it's gonna hang, but I kind of want to put it on my list. We'll talk about it there. Nightmare Cart is it's such a cool game. Nightmare Cart is basically used to be what Bloodborne Cart was, but then they had to remove some of the Bloodborne-iness of it. And And it's a delight to look at. It's a delight to play. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I'm not sure if we can see some of the gameplay here real quick. But yeah, I streamed the entirety of this game. It was just 2 hours long. Great vibes, great visuals. I think they really nailed making something that has that Bloodborne aesthetic and then just made a really fun card game out of it. Both in the racing elements, this is kind of loud. Both in the racing elements and the there's like combat sections in it, like arena style combat in the game as well. Yeah, I guess this is just an announcement. We don't get to see much of it, but there's more to it than just racing. It tells a story, a very simple one. It has like boss fights that are reminiscent of the ones from like Bloodborne, specifically like Mikolash. They redo that sequence in a very smart way. And it has like a really intense like ending to it as well, like a whole like a honest to god boss fight that you have to like literally whittle down health bars into. And since it's free, you really owe it to yourself to play this game. Like, please play this game. It is fantastic. Oh, okay. How much more of this do we have? Okay, we're gonna hear in the end. Sulaco. Sulaco has potential. Sulaco is really fun. Sulaco is like a boomer shooter writ large. It's got explorable zones, secrets, and I think you can fully explore the map. Very kinetic, very fun, very distinct art style on its own. I think I misclicked. It's technically like done. Like you can play the first chapter and that's the full game being done. But because I haven't, finished it, even though I wanted to, I'm gonna just wait until it's 1.0. Even though I feel like, as the author, the creator of this game has said, like the game, he sees chapters 2 and 3 as like DLC for the game. I think you can jump into this and just play it and have a really good experiences from what I've seen so far. There's been a couple quality of life improvements along the way as well that like they're doing a very good job in updating it. I look forward to playing more Sulaco. Ghostware Arena of the Dead. Cool concept. It's basically I think you're actually just trapped in an arena shooter from the past. Like think of your Quakes and your All Unreal tournaments. And it's a story. It's not a multiplayer game. It's a single player game where you're fighting against bots and it's telling you this story. I didn't play too much of it. Unfortunately, I played less than an hour of it. But so I can't put it really on my list, but I will continue playing it at some point. Still Wakes the Deep. Still Wake the Deeps is a cool horror walking simulator type game. I was gonna say I think it's by the Chinese Room, who also made Amnesia: Machine for Pigs. Great representation of Scotland, and I feel a lot of people with very, very strong Scottish. You can actually even play it in Scottish Gaelic, I believe, if you want. I think it's fine. It's got some cool sequences. It's well worth playing. I did not really think too much more of it after I finished it. I think the ending is pretty predictable. Yeah, it's just a well-made horror story, and it tells a good one, and it has some fun chase sequences, and some fun visuals. Not much more I can say about that. I think it's definitely a step up from the previous work that the Chinese Room has done. What else are they making? Oh, right. They're doing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. I forgot about that. Yeah, I didn't play a little Orpheus. They've done a lot, actually. Yeah, I played Everybody's Gone to Rapture. I played Machine for Pigs, and I played Dear Esther. Still Wakes the Deep, definitely a step up for them. We'll see how Bloodlines 2 turns out. Yeah. Here we go. All right. This is going to tell you the whole story. Nice. 69 hours played of this game. I really like Endless Zone Zero. I think it is the most friendly of the Hoyoverse games that they have made so far, and they've only continued making a bunch of quality of life improvements with each of these different updates that make this game incredibly playable. I think it's also super expressive in ways that I think a lot of games are not. Like, let's not undersell the fact that a lot of the animations and the cutscenes of these games, I just want to see if I can get some of that here. It's a super expressive game that has like its own vibe. And it's a delight to play through. The writing is like super funny. The characters are really memorable. I think it caters to all tastes, really. I don't really have too many more complaints about this, and I know I can't talk over this. I'm single-threaded. I'm gonna have to wait for this, but I just want to like show just how great some of these animations are. And it only gets better the deeper this game. Like, I can't believe this game came out this year, and it has, like, and it's not even that far away. Like, when was this that it came out? It was March. Okay, so it was pretty early in the year, yeah. But it's come a long way since then, and it's very playable. Even at only 69 hours, I've gotten pretty much all the characters that I wanted at the times that I wanted them to. They made a really good one of these. Like, these are some of the only free-to-play games that I've been playing consistently. Sorry, Warframe. I do want to play Warframe. Just hang on, we'll get there. But, you know, I think they build up from their experience from, you know, Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. And even Honkai Star Rail was way more accessible, way more respectful of your time. Zenless Zone Zero triples that. Like, it is very respectful of the time investment that you put into it to get like really cool stuff. I think the stories they tell are very fun. I've definitely cried while playing some of the stories in these games. Like the one from like the update previous to this one was pretty cool. Even though I didn't really engage with the characters, I did get a little misty-eyed in the epilogue to that one. I think they do a really good job of writing fun characters and then writing a lot of situations that these characters are in where they really show their personalities. The live service nature of this, all the updates and events that they add to these games across, like even Genshin Impact, I think has some really great ones as well this year. Continually surprising, just with unique mechanics and gimmicks and gameplay types beyond just like the combat stuff in the game. The thing that I thought was pretty weak, they had a TV mode where you're like exploring different TV screens and had different effects that would happen in the level. Not my favorite type of gameplay. A lot of people agreed with me, and they just got rid of those as part of the main quest, and they kind of sectioned them off into like different modes of the game. It's probably a smart move, because I'm mostly here for the story and these characters, and it's fun to kind of beat stuff up. I don't know if it's very challenging, and when it does get challenging, it feels kind of cheap. That's the only like real knock against it. But as a whole, like, oh, I really like this game. Fantastic. Let's put it in the top 10. When we got 11 games, we're gonna have to whittle some stuff out. This game is fun. I found this game while I was at the I actually did beat it, so I think I can just fix that right now. Oh, it just says I'm continuing to play it, but I have beaten it. Okay, yeah, that's I'm no longer really playing it. There we go. This game is rad. It is like a Tony Hawk but unicycling, and made by Daffodil and Friends. I met Daffodil at the Vancouver Gaming Garden when I took a trip there to just check out some games. As someone who personally thinks that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is one of the best games to ever been made ever, and definitely one of the games I would say that I'm very focused on being competitive about and having fun. I really love the aesthetic and the vibes of this game and the audacity of it. I think it definitely isn't the easiest game to control. I think definitely could use like more passes and more stuff from this developer to like smooth out some of those kinks, but like I just love the vibes and the attitude of it. It's tremendous. I think this game has a lot of heart, and it really gets the things that it needs to get right. I just did not feel compelled to like chase scores the way I did, since some things just felt a little stiff. But in terms of just the uniqueness of taking unicycling and then making like all these different tricks that I had no idea were like a concept for unicycling and introducing it to a world at large. Oh, what a creative effort. And like props to them. I want to put it on the list. I just feel like compared to some of the other stuff I played, it might not hang, but like I love this game. I really do. Let's not throw it off yet. Let's put it there. I don't know if it'll hang, but I would definitely say put this over Rise of the Ronin, for example. It's also nice and short and fun. I'm not sure what more you need. Oh god, let's go back to the list. Once Human. I didn't play enough of this game. I wanted to. I didn't. End of story. Click Holding. Click Holding is a weird game. It's by Strange Scaffold, who have made too many games in the 4 years they've existed. It's the kind of like studio that I really want to support because that's exactly what I want. I want shorter games that are made in short amount of period of time that are just weird and interesting. Click Holding is a game where you have this guy with like a weird mask and he just wants you to click like a clicker, and it's got like weird tension throughout it, even though it's not particularly a horror game. It's weird, it's interesting, it's fascinating, and it does come around full circle, and it's got interesting things going on in it. I think people should play it as an experience. It's also like $3. Not gonna be in my top 10 though. Nobody Wants to Die. It's a narrative game with like an investigative Batman-style detective scrubbing thing that you do to like kind of figure out what happens in these different like crime scenes. But it's pretty handholdy. There's only really a few ways things can go. I think it has branching paths, but I didn't finish it, which is weird because I did like what I played of it. But I'll need to come back around on that. Cool concept though. The idea is that when you become an adult, your body gets placed into like circulation and you get assigned a new body depending on like how much money you have. So there are some cool things happening there where like the wealthier you are, the better body you get, and you're basically taking that body from like people that might have just turned 20, and then you're forced by the government to give up your body to someone, and then you get assigned a different body. And because of that, there's like people are sort of immortal in a way, but they may just be stuck living terrible lives in bodies that people may have not taken very good care of. It's an interesting concept, for sure. I want to play more of it. Old School Rally. I love rally games. I grew up playing Colin McRae. I think this game is fantastic. It's super fun. I think it's a little slight. It's also in early access, which is why I don't want to review it, but I do want to point it out to people that like that rally sort of game and they want to jump into it. So definitely worth a look for people who are in that vein, and maybe we'll revisit it in another year once it's done. Tomba. I'm looking forward to playing Tomba 2. Tomba 1 I never played a lot of. I played a little bit of this one. I still think it's fun, it's cute, it's charming. Not much else. My biggest guilt of the year has to be Tactical Breach Wizards. I only played the first 2 levels of it, and I think it's really awesome. I really love this developer. I really loved Gunpoint, Suspicious Developments. I did not play Heat Signature, but playing Tactical Breach Wizards reminded me that that's a thing, and I really want to come back and I want to play more of it. This would have been in my top 10 if I played more of it. Like, I just can't put it there, unfortunately. Because I was too busy playing Star Wars Outlaws, I guess. Like, why did I not finish Tactical Breach Wizards? But I finished Star Wars Outlaws. Yeah, 29 hours I put into this. I ended up skipping a lot of side stuff towards the end of the game because I wanted to see how it evolves. This game is fine. Like, I feel like the internet's weird about this game, but like there isn't really much bad with it. I think the combat is a bit rote and boring, but I think if you play it as like an infiltration game and you use sort of the tools that it gives you to just get around people, I think it's really fun. I could have used with more infiltration tools, to be honest, but as a stealth part of the game, I think it's really fun. I think the open world is too big. I think this is a huge problem that I have with a lot of these games. The open world is too dang big. They need to make them smaller. A lot of the times I'm just traveling from place to place because there's not enough fast travel points, and you're just riding your speeder bike or running through alleys and stuff like that, and it's not fun. There's not really much going on there unless you are specifically going to a place. I think if you're gonna have an open world to just like have a hub to like talk to people and go do missions, you need to make it smaller, and then make bespoke areas for that stuff that just kind of spin off of it, like almost like they're dungeons and stuff like that. If you're not making something like Skyrim where like you walk 5 meters and then there's something interesting for you to do, I don't think you should be making an open world game. I don't think a lot of games like understand that. That's my fundamental problem with a lot of open world games, and Outlaws does have that. I think the story is fine though, and I think the stealth stuff is kind of the best part of the game. But it's not going to make my top 10. I think it's very competitive. Any other year I would have considered it. Oh, but we have Astrobot. Astrobot definitely in my top 10. Astrobot is a delight. I think it's this is the kind of game that I wish more like big studios would do, and this is a small team too that made this, but like high production value and a focus on fun. This is a gameplay first game that just wants to give you fun things to do with like the different little power-ups, and it has like a thesis for every single level, and they really want to make each level be around a certain mechanic or concept or gameplay beat. You know, some of them are there's like this big guy who's like all chained up, and then your goal throughout the level is to unchain him. Other ones are built around like certain abilities, like you'll be able to scrunch into a little ball and then you have to navigate these different areas or shrink yourself down. And they play a lot with these different mechanics or revisit them in different ways. And on top of that, there are some really fun, like intense platforming challenges that you can then go do later that I'm sure there's a speedrunning community built around. It's a gameplay first game with like really fun like nostalgia bait as well. Like if you've been growing up with PlayStation like I have, I'm not sure if that's a factor in it. And story wise, oh my god, the ending of this game, I was in tears. Like it is, oh my god, what the heck? Like this game should not affect me as much as it did, but like it was very effective. They have such a charming little character. This game also got Game of the Year 2024 at the Game Awards, and it's well deserved. 100%. Love it. Yeah, easy top 10. Is this gonna make it? This game is just fun. It's another gameplay first game. You just get in there, really solid execution of its firing mechanics. Paired with, you know, doing the executions, doing melee. I had a blast all the way through. I could not put this game down. I played it like 11 hours. I think I just spent 3 days and then just completed it in that time. I know there's more co-op stuff. I didn't get around to playing it. I'm sure it's fun. I would love to play those. I have a friend that I'm gonna play it with eventually. Is it gonna hang on the list? I don't know. I got really into Warhammer this year. This would go above Rise of Ronin, I think. So I'm gonna put it on the list, and we can sort that out there afterwards. Utopia Must Fall. Didn't play too much of this. It's a fellow like defense, like roguelike game. Maybe that's why I also fell off it. It's got a cool little art style, like vector graphics. It's neat. Played it less than an hour. Unfortunately. Oh, we didn't talk about X Defiant. I'm sad about X Defiant. I think that game, I think we should, I don't think developers should abandon the game. Like, it's weird that they abandoned it when you consider how poorly received Rainbow Six Siege was at launch, and now it's like one of the biggest multiplayer games of all time. Like, I don't know what has happened with game developers these days. Game publishers these days, where like stuff with like Concord, where like you'll have a game that's like fundamentally fine, and you can build upon that, especially put 8 years, and then you're killing it. Like, yeah, it's a saturated market, but you put the time in to make something, and then you have a community that has latched onto your game, and you still kill it to save, like, what, server costs? When you could, you know, maybe, potentially, someday, have a moment like Rainbow Six Siege where you have the biggest game of all time. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, that seems very, very short-sighted. And it's weird, because it's specifically coming from, like, a company like Ubisoft. Like, you believed in this game at some point, enough to, like, release it. Stick with it. It could become something. I don't know. It weirds me out. I just don't like seeing developers have all their work just suddenly disappear, just be deleted from existence. Like, at that point, you're not treating games like art, you're treating them like a business transaction, which, like, I'm sure to some people that is exactly what they are, but I can't accept that, you know, as a developer. It's weird. Satisfactory 1.0 came out and I didn't play it. I only played a bit of this before. I'm sure I would have liked it. I Am Your Beast. This is the strange scaffold game that I will put. I'm not sure if it will hang. I still got to reevaluate it, but I Am Your Beast is basically like a short level based. I hear it frequently described as like Hotline Miami in first person. That's spot on. I think you're just there's a lot of like really clever control stuff, just the way you pick up weapons and then you can throw them to stun enemies and then do an execution on them. The game also seems to like gravitate towards like making it really easy to pull off headshots. Yeah, the concept as well is pretty fun. It's you play as basically like a Rambo type character, you know, like ex Green Beret military professional person that's really good at his job, and he's being brought back for one last job, but he says no. But they really, really want him, so they send a whole bunch of guys to like subdue him and get him out of there, and then it just becomes like, oh, we gotta put this guy down. He's too dangerous, sort of thing. Fun narrative beats in between those levels. Voiced by Xavier Nelson Jr. I believe that's his name. Who I believe is also like the main head honcho at Strange Scaffold. And again, props to these guys. Like, let's take a look at their history here. Like, yeah, let's take a Screw You, Barry Dad. I have not even heard of that game. Yeah, this is where I first heard of them, is an airport for aliens currently run by dogs. And you look at their output. 2 games in 2021, 2 games in 2022. What's that? 2 games in 2023. Yeah, and what's this? 2024. 3 games in 2024. And they're not a big company either. It's like I really like this studio, and I really like how just varied some of their stuff is. Truly, this is, you know, my ideal. You know, if I was ever gonna make my own studio, I would love to make like a game a year and just have it be strange, unique things like that. So I Am Your Beast on the list, as well as the game, as well as a you know, spirit of game development for sure. Starstruck, Hands of Time. I wish I liked this game more than I did. I like the story. I like how weird and wild this game is. I like a lot of the stuff that it has to say about art and creation and media and society, I guess. I think everyone should definitely play it. It's not very long. It says 6 hours played, but I think I left it running because I had to take care of my dog in the time. It's closer to around like 4 or 5 hours. It's well worth playing. It's weird, it's interesting, it's got a very unique art style. Half of it is like sort of a narrative adventure game that you're just going around talking to people and getting information, progressing the story. And the other half is you're playing as this hand. Okay, concept is you're a person sent from the future to prevent something called the mold that creates an apocalypse, and it's tied to these 2 characters who are aspiring musicians. So half of it is you just trying to clear out roadblocks in front of these people by just sending your hand down literally into the planet and just destroying those objects in like a time-based level, which people have described as Katamari-esque, which is sure, fine, that's close enough. And the other half is a rhythm game. I don't really like the rhythm game. It feels weird to play with the controller. I'm not sure how much it is with like a Guitar Hero controller, but definitely my least favorite part about the game. The songs are by themselves fun though. But yeah, the story is definitely the story, and like just the weird. This game like shows you weird stuff. Like that game goes off the rails towards the end, and it's well worth playing. But I'm not sure it all comes together. I don't think it will hang. I don't think it will hang. I'll put it on the list, but I don't think it'll hang. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I didn't finish this game. I liked it enough. I just didn't finish it. I'm not really gonna say much more of that. I don't have any good thoughts about it. Mouthwashing is great. Mouthwashing is a horror adventure game. Great art style. Great story, I think. There are some wild beats in it. And it hurts. which is a common refrain in the game. It's like, I hope it hurts. It does hurt. It's well worth playing. I don't think it's particularly long. Yeah, it took me about 2 to 3 hours to finish it. Played it with a bunch of my coworkers, and we had a good time going through it as well. There's really no harm in playing it. It's pretty short. It's a great like horror game. It has thoughts and ideas it wants to say about, you know, people, ambitions, existence, you know, what is the purpose of life, you know, typical horror game stuff like that. But what it has to say, I think, is interesting and in parts relatable. You see bits of yourself in like each of these characters. You can see yourself being any one of these characters, and I think that's evocative of a well-told narrative. It does some really wild visual stuff as well that I think is really cool to see. There are certain parts like it jumps around in different time spaces. And in certain parts like horrible stuff has happened, and it will visually blur out some of that stuff in this like really weird render effect that is so fascinating. Not sure it will hang. We'll put it on the list. We're almost done here. Silent Hill 2. I think I've spoken at length in streams about Silent Hill 2 Remake. I think the core problems that I have with this game is that it is too long. It sticks way too close to the story of the first game in a way that, like, because you doubled the length of this game, tripled almost, I think. Like, how long was it? 20 hours. Yeah, you a little more than doubled it. You've made more game than I think the story can tell. And the combat in the game, I think, is worse than the original. And the problem that I have with it is a lot of people will say the combat in Silent Hill 2 is not very good. It's only serviceable. It's on part of the game. I disagree with that. Yes, it's harder to control. Like, it's not, you're not playing God of War, you know. But what is the purpose of the combat? It's for you to decide what resource you want to expend to get through it. You'll go for melee and maybe take some damage and have to heal, or do you waste your bullets? It's to maintain tension. Like, that's the point of the combat in Silent Hill 2, is to maintain tension throughout the game, for it to be a horror game and to give you some light, like, resource management stuff. I wouldn't say it's a core component of the game. Specifically, that you can even like adjust the difficulty separate from the puzzle to make it be the kind of game that you want it to be. And like, that's how the original let you do it. But as a whole, like, what was so difficult about it? You run up to the enemy, you press the X a few times, they go down, you step on them. Or you're at a distance and you're shooting your gun until they die. I don't see what part about that was bad. Sometimes you're shooting stuff off screen, but it never really stopped me from enjoying the game. The combat in Silent Hill 2 Remake stopped me from enjoying the game because it is focused on you using your invincibility move to counter the enemy's invincible moves. So what that means is you run up to combat and you wait for them to attack you. You press your invincibility button, your dodge, and then you hit them 2 times. And then around 2 or 3 hits is when they start hitting you back. So you just kind of stop and wait, and then you dodge again. Then you hit them again. This is pretty much the same for every single enemy, except certain enemies will hit you more than other ones, like the nurses. And there's really not that much variety in it either. But the game is so long, and it forces you into a lot of these combat situations, this combat that isn't really fun to engage with, because you can't even run from them. Because the enemies, when they attack, they do this thing where, like, they magnetize to you. So if you're out in this distance here, and the enemy comes to attack, you can't move out of the way like this, because what happens is they do this, You know, they come at you as you're moving away, and you see them glide, and then they hit you. Why? Because you didn't hit the button that makes you invincible. Making me engage with this combat over and over on a game that's telling me a story that I'm already really familiar with. Oy. Like, I wonder how that is for someone that doesn't know the story. I think the fact that I know the story like really influenced me a lot in just how much of this felt like padding and a chore to navigate through that I can't put on my list. I think Silent Hill 2 has a great story, and the fact that it's preserved almost wholesale here like is good. I don't think I have an issue with how the story is portrayed. I think I have an issue how it's paced because of the levels are so long and the story beats are broken up so much. Whereas it feels like with Silent Hill 2 original, that game's 6 hours long, and it's paced that way. Like, you get a good solid beat of like puzzle solving, tension, story, puzzle solving, tension, story, and just navigating and exploring the environments that are reasonably sized. Here you get a little bit labyrinthine, and I think a lot of people praise the level design of this game because they say like, oh, it's like Dark Souls, you know, you come back around where you came with before and everything links together. We need to evaluate stuff at like a higher level than that, I feel. Just because you circle back around to stuff doesn't mean that it's amazing. It's amazing map design, because I feel there's a lot of attrition here in the map design where there's a lot of you going back to places that you've been before, where things have not significantly changed, which is something that like Metroid Dread did very well. In a game that has you retraversing areas or recontextualizing how you go through different areas. Everything is static in this game since you're using the same weapon and you're engaging and stuff. So spending more times in this level because you're backtracking so much through all these different spaces, a lot of it is getting one item, coming back and using it on the other one. Like the prison itself is like, oh, so annoying. Like you literally have to get an item that lets you open up a different door, then you explore that area, you come back to the main area of the prison so you can do the puzzle, so you can get a different item, and then you have to go through an entire other wing of the prison to get another item just to go all the way back. I did not really find that engaging at all. And this is a common theme with like a lot of these different maps, is a lot of retraversal for the sake of retraversal, for the sake of padding. And when you don't have like a lot of story there that you haven't seen before, or like any thing that really shakes things up, feels like you're just slowly always going through stuff because you don't want to get hit by mannequins, and then when you see a mannequin you get into the same dodge and attack and like back and forth. Like it's almost like you got into a random encounter with like a weak enemy in like a Shin Megami Tensei game, but you still got to be careful because they can still do a lot of damage to you. Like I don't know, man. I don't know what I wanted out of a remake. I think I wanted a shorter game that just like let people experience it more and had less combat. I think for what they made, like it's fine. It's fine. It's just fine. You know, it's just good. Is it one of the best things that Bloober Team made? Maybe. I think the score is kind of crazy, but you know, that's just me. I don't want to hate on it too much because since like here's the thing, the people that made the game like are very passionate about it, so I don't want to hate on that. Like they had a daunting task. Like, how do you remake Silent Hill 2? Jesus, I would not be envious of that task. And like props to them, like it's not a bad game. It's not a bad game. I just really prefer the original. And I think it's tough. It's tough. It's not on my list for sure. But congratulations to the team, you know, like just wish there was less combat, and I just wish it felt a little bit more fun to play. Do I though? I don't know. Oh god, like here I am, like it's like doubting myself and my emotions about this game. It's a hard one to think about. Here's not so hard to think about: web fishing. You make cute little Animal Crossing character, you fish with your friends, and then you upgrade it with a steady loop and lets you get bigger and bigger fish until you're catching like whole whales. I don't know if it'll hang, but I think everyone should play this game. It's super cheap. It's super cheap. Like play web fishing, hang out with your friends, make a little thing. It's fantastic. Like web fishing is so much fun. Metaphor Refantasio. This is a 100-hour game. Did you guys think I finished this game? No, I'm 14 hours in. I'm nowhere close to finishing it. I think it's cool. I think it's fantastic, but I'm gonna have to talk about this game another year. What was that rating? Wow, that's great. Good for them. Alice just keeps making bangers. Good for them. Super Mario Party Jamboree. I like this game a lot. It's not gonna hang because it's Mario Party, but like it's a lot of fun to play with your friends. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Okay, I'm gonna go a different route than people will go with this, because like everyone knows what this game is. I think this campaign is fun. I don't think the parts where like the padding is like really bad in sort of the more unique chapters of the game. You'll know the one that you're talking about, the one that's like a little bit influenced by that other mode in the game. I think the pacing in that like just kills an otherwise like pretty fun campaign. I will say this though, production on the animations of this game, just in the hub, just the way characters like interact with each other's and interact with the environment. Oh my goodness. It is incredible. Like I was in awe of like the animation quality in this game. This game may have the best animations I have seen in any game ever. Like more so than like, sorry, I need to also say animations that look like real people doing real things. Bar none, I think this one nails it. In terms of actual like cool animations, Zenless Zone Zero, like come on, what are we talking about? Like those hand-done animations, way better than anything that you could do in something that has to be realistic. But as something that like wants to portray real people doing real things, mwah, Black Ops 6 has some of the, if not the best character animations. It's not gonna make my list though. I already have too much stuff there. Slitterhead. I need to play more of this. I only played 3 hours of it. And I feel like I've already seen most of what the game has to offer, and it's a little repetitive, but I'm interested in seeing the story, and I'm interested in seeing all the way through. I hear the pacing gets a little crazy. Like, as in, not great. But we'll see another time. Okay. Have you guys heard of this game? Have you guys heard of Threshold? No? Threshold might be the best game of the year that no one has played. More people need to play Threshold. What is this? 2 user reviews, really? Disregard that. Threshold is a game that I did not know what to expect in it. It was just, it's made by this one developer here, and published by Critical Reflex, who also published Mouthwashing, which is how I found out about this game. So, you know, good job on Critical Reflex in servicing this game to me. This game takes place on top of a mountain where you have very short amount of breath, so you have to use these air canisters to like keep your breath. And the way you do that is by keeping maintenance on this train that is eternal. This train just keeps going. You always see this train going by, and you don't know what's shipping. You just know that like every now and then there's like a buzzer, and it'll say like, oh, the train needs to speed up, the train needs to slow down. God, this game has probably the best moment this year in gaming for me. It was just like the way this game ends, and your slow revelation of like this little puzzle, and just getting into like a good rhythm, you know, getting into the good gameplay loop of like doing your tasks so you can continue breathing, while also just peeling back layers of this strange and bizarre world. There are so many different beats that I was just like, what the heck is happening? What is the significance of this? What am I even doing? And the ultimate revelation of what is happening is so beyond the pale of like anything I could have imagined. It is a short game. You can finish it in an hour, and you need to finish this game. This might be my top game of the year. I need to think about Crow Country a little bit more, but Threshold is something to see for sure. Skynes's Behemoth. I was really excited for this game. I didn't finish it. I only played about 2 hours of it. It's a cool VR game. I thought I would like it more than I did. I need to finish it to get more thoughts about it. I'm sorry, I don't really have much more to say about it. But it's a full game in VR, you know. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I've reached the end of the ideas of what it has to show me, but we'll see. Okay, woo. All right, that's everything then. We can now switch over to our list that we have to now decide what are we gonna keep and what we're gonna cut. Okay, let's think. Things that absolutely need to stay. I'm just gonna cut Rise of Ronin right now. Let's edit here. I think we cut Rise of Ronin. Rise of Ronin cut. We need to cut 9 games. What here is not gonna make it? Okay. I think Prince of Persia stays, Like a Dragon stays. Tekken, I'm gonna slide down a little bit. Helldivers, I'll slide a bit. Indica, I think stays. Maybe not that high. Wear Cleaner should stay. Kuro Country stays. 1,000 Times Resistance. Zenless Zone Zero should be here. But Astrobot needs to be there too. Okay. Wear Cleaner is a cool idea and concept, and I'm glad I recognized it, but I think a lot of these different games are doing more complex things. I still think everyone should play Wear Cleaner because it's very fun and it's free. I think Wear Cleaner's not going to hang. Threshold needs to be here. Threshold might be at the top. Let's just move that up. I'm serious, y'all. Like, Threshold is an incredible game. Let's just put that up here. I think, unfortunately, Street Uni X needs to go. I think the next game that Daffodil makes will be incredible. Because I really liked what I had with Street Uni X. It's just some of the controls didn't really stick for me. So basically, like when you fall and then like the detection on that and the immediate like collapse of all your momentum, I think was my biggest issue with it. But I really like most of the levels, half the levels maybe. Definitely looking forward to seeing more of it. But like props to it. Like, just because I'm taking it off the list doesn't mean I like the game any less. Like, to me, like personally, I think it's really fantastic, and I'm really glad it exists. I can't express to you how glad I am that Street Uni X exists. So, fortunately, I'm gonna have to bump it off, but like, by no means is that like any condemnation of the game. Nightmare Cart. Nightmare Cart. I think I'm gonna let Nightmare Cart stick around a little bit longer because I think it's a really cool thing. Honestly, you know, I don't think Helldivers might stick. I think it's really fun as a multiplayer game, but I don't think there's really much else beyond like the small amount of time that I spend with it that I did like with my friends. It's still very repetitive, and I don't think, like, for me, as like this top 10 list of games, for me, I don't think it hangs, you know? So I'm just gonna drop it. Okay. I Am Your Beast, I think, hangs. I feel pretty strongly about Animal. Well, I think of the Metroidvania games that I played, it's definitely below Prince of Persia. I'm really struggling to reconcile my thoughts on that, though. I think Starstruck, I like it in theory. I think I like the concept of Starstruck more than I enjoyed playing it. I did not even really walk around and explore too much of it because I did find some of it a little bit tedious. I still think it's cool and I still think it's worth playing, and I think the ending is bonkers and I'm really glad I saw it. I don't think it's gonna hang. Don't make me kill web fishing. Don't make me kill web fishing. I might have to kill web fishing. Web fishing is fun, but all you do is kind of like fishing. It's a good core loop, and I'm glad it exists, and it's cheap, and it's super fun, and I think you should play it. But like compared to all some of these other stuff, I think it unfortunately has to go. But play web fishing. Web fishing is fun. I'm gonna pop Indica a little bit lower, just cause no, but there are certain parts about Indica that's really, really good. No, Indica's cool. Indica stays. I Am Your Beast. I Am Your Beast stays, for sure. I Am Your Beast, I'm gonna move up. Zenless Zone Zero stays. I played too much of that. I think I'm down. I'm thinking about Tekken 8 and Warhammer Space Marine 2. Nightmare Car has some recency bias. You know, I like Space Marine 2 a lot. I like Space Marine 2 a lot. I can't drop it. Oh, but you know, if I think about like I Am Your Beast and Space Marine 2, it's hard to compare the two, but damn it, don't make me kill my darlings like this. Mouthwashing thing is really cool, but and I'm really glad I played it, but I think I had more fun playing Space Marine 2. Mouthwashing's got some wild stuff in it, though. Okay, did I enjoy Mouthwashing more than I enjoyed Animal Well? I think Animal is doing some more interesting things. Just with the way it's designed, I think it's a very smartly designed game that I think gets a little bit too far up itself towards the end. I think I'm gonna drop Mouthwashing. I don't want to drop A Thousand Times Resist. Crow Country, indisputable. Astrobot, indisputable. Okay, I Am Your Beast. Where am I landing on I Am Your Beast? Do I like I Am Your Beast more than I like Nightmare Cart? Nightmare Cart is so cool, though. Zenless Zone Zero is not up for discussion. Indica might be up for discussion. Nope. Indica's not up for discussion. Indica's really cool. I can't get over like just the sheer audacity of Indica and the stuff that it makes you do and how it blends like the interactive elements with like telling like a story. The more I think about Indica, the cooler it is. I think I might like Indica more than like 1,000. God. Why do we do this for stuff? Why are we legally mandated to only pick 10? Sucks. Shouldn't do that. It's unethical. It's unethical to force us to do this. Okay. I think Animal stays. I think Tekken 8 is a very good game, and I really had a lot of fun with it. But it didn't have. I think like this is ending up in the same category of like Space Marine 2, where like I probably should have played more of it if I really did like it, you know? Screw it, I'm doing it. I'm dropping Tekken 8. And I'm dropping Marine 2. I think... which one do I want to drop? It's one of these three, I think. Iron Your Beast is very fun. I'll tell you what, I got frustrated in certain parts about Animal Well. and I did not in like Nightmare Kart or I Am Your Beast. I know it's a very different sort of game. Animal Well is pretty popular. It's going to get support elsewhere on someone else's list. I think this is my list. I'm going to drop Animal Well. And this is number 10. Okay. Let's see. I think it's either Threshold or Crow Country is my favorite game of the year. And I think Crow Country might be first. I feel good about this. This feels good. I think I'm going to move this up here. Crow Country is just a video game game. It knows exactly what it is. It wants to be a survival horror game that tells like a really good story, creates like a really great map for you to progress, has a lot of really great surprises, has really compelling backtracking. The environments change as like the game progresses. It recontextualizes the places that you go to. There's like a progression. It might be a night and day progression as you go through it. Your understanding of the world changes over time as well. Different things will mean different things to you depending on the information that you have. And it's just full of surprises. Like it is, yes, Crow Country is the best game I have played all year, 100%. Threshold, most surprising, and I think a little bit of recency bias there. I definitely think it's a solid number 2. I think I'm gonna just drop Prince of Persia: Lost Crown just a little bit under Astrobot, just because Astrobot is just pure fun. It is pure fun. And Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, like I really did enjoy it. Like I honestly, those two are interchangeable for me. Infinite Wealth, I think I'm gonna drop down below Zenless Zone Zero. And I think this feels about right. Yeah, Zen Zone Zero. I just had way too much fun playing this game, and there's just fun stories in there as well. I am thinking about bumping up Indica and 1000 Times Resist, just for like the impact. Well, no, because you know what? No, I think this is fine. I like the gameplay beats. You know what? I might actually even just do this. I really want to prioritize gameplay first among us other things. And if I do that, I do have to say Nightmare Kart was like some of the most fun 2 hours that I had. And I think I'm going to do that. You know what? This looks right. This looks right to me. Crow Country, Threshold, Astrobot, Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, Zenless Zone Zero, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, I Am Your Beast. Yeah, okay. I feel pretty good about this. These are all games that I would 100% recommend people to go check out. And then I guess I'll do my little reviews once I do that, but this is my list. Congratulations, Crow Country. You're my favorite game of the year. Congratulations, Threshold. Congratulations to everyone that I even put on this list as well. I think those games were fantastic. I think there's a lot of really great games that came out this year. Great games that I didn't even get around to playing. So, you know, like I really can't complain anymore. Like, yeah, what a fantastic year. And I hope to play some of the more games that came out this year in the next year. I still haven't played Indiana Jones. I hope to play that next year. I hear that game is also incredible. But yeah, till then, thank you for joining me in this little peek beyond the pixel while we publish our top 10 games of 2024 that I played. All right. And until next time, dream big, fight hard, love always, and I'll catch you later beyond the pixel. Have a great new year.